In the responsorial psalm, the psalmist says, "My lips will tell of your justice, O Lord. In you, O Lord, I take refuge. Let me never be put to shame. In your justice, rescue me, free me, pay heed to me, and save me. My lips will tell of justice, and day by day of your help. O God, you have taught me from my youth, and I proclaim your wonders still." These words of the psalmist proclaiming the justice of God. This appears to be too good to be true. Because honestly, today when we celebrate the memorial of the beheading of John the Baptist, the scripture readings taken from Jeremiah and the Gospel of Mark, these two were great prophets of God. And we wonder whether God has done justice for them. We know that Jeremiah, he was a great prophet. He preached the truth. God called him. He preached to his people, to the kings, to the nobles, so that he could save Israel from destruction by the Babylonians. And instead of being received with gratitude, Jeremiah, of course, was hated, despised, ridiculed, and almost put to death. And so we wonder, was God on the side of Jeremiah? Would you say that, therefore, God was showing him justice? In fact, if anything, it seems to be unjust, especially when God promised Jeremiah, "I will be with you. I will make sure that you will be able to stand up against your enemy." That is what the Lord said. "Brace yourself for action. I, for my part today, will make you a fortified city, a pillar of iron, a wall of bronze. They will fight you, but they shall not overcome you." Are these words true in the life of Jeremiah? Then what about John the Baptist? John the Baptist too was a great prophet. He spoke the truth. He was not afraid of what people say about him. He was only interested to be the prophet that God meant him to be. And so he was a prophet of justice, a prophet of truth. And he would mince no words if he had to speak the truth, even if it meant irritating Herodias and King Herod because of the adulterous affair. A man of great courage. And again, in the Gospel of Luke, when Zechariah prophesied that he will really be the great prophet to save the people of Israel. Again, the question we ask is, where is the justice of God? After doing all that he did, then he was beheaded. Is that the justice of God? And so it's important for us because this celebration of the beheading of John the Baptist should speak to all of us who serve God. Because very often we feel that God is not just towards us. And more so if we work for him, whether as full-time workers or whether as volunteers. We give our heart, we give our soul, we give all the strength that we have, we give our time, we give our resources. But sometimes things turn awry, Situations becomes bad. Maybe we have unpleasant relationship with our colleagues, with our superiors, misunderstanding. Maybe we feel there is injustice in our workplace or injustice in our ministries, in our communities. We find that there are some difficult people to deal with, some too egoistic to handle, and all these issues. And then sometimes we feel that we have been wrongly penalized and they even marginalize us. And we ask ourselves, we have given so much. We have really tried to serve God. And we have actually sacrificed so much. And this is the end result. And so why should we serve God then? Why should we spend our energy on all these things and in the end we get nothing but pain and suffering and misunderstanding? And so some of us will just withdraw to our little space and we say, that's it. I'm not going to join any community. I'm not going to do any church work. If I have to do, I will just attend my Mass and I just go back when I don't want to be involved anymore. Because we don't see the justice of God, and we become even bitter and resentful. And some have left the church because they feel that even the church has been unjust to them. So, is that God in the first place? Where is this God? And so it's important that we reflect on the justice of God in the context of today's celebration. From the scripture readings, therefore, one thing is clear. The justice of God cannot be interpreted on our own terms. The justice of God has to be interpreted in His terms. So what is the justice of God? How is God's justice being rendered? Again, if we reread the scripture readings, we take prophet Jeremiah. I, for my part, will make you into a fortified city, a pillar of iron, a wall of bronze to confront all this land. They will fight against you, but shall not overcome you. What is the justice of God? Justice of God is fidelity to rest. That He will give us the grace, He will give us the strength to endure, to do His holy will. That is the justice of God. Justice of God does not mean to say He will make sure that we are not hurt in the process. Even His Son was put to death. The justice of God means to say He will give you whatever necessary grace to withstand your enemy, to remain strong in the face of oppression, remain strong in the face of challenges. That is the justice of God. He will be with you, in other words. He will help you. Your enemy will not overcome you. That does not mean say your enemy will not put you to death. Yes, you will die, but you will not be overcome because you will remain firm in your faith right to the end, like John the Baptist, like Jeremiah. You will not give up, in other words. You show yourself to be the person you are called to be. That fidelity and grace is the justice of God. That is what He means when He says, I will be with you. Doesn't mean to say, I will be with you. Your life will be smooth sailing, no problem. Everybody will love you. Huh? You'll be popular. Oh, everybody will be grateful to you. It won't happen. That has never been the path of Jesus. What is the grace of God? The grace of God is that you will find true freedom and you will retain your dignity as God's prophet. That is the justice of God. So Jeremiah, although he was rejected, although he was mocked at, even thrown into the well and later on exiled into Egypt, but Jeremiah certainly was happy in his heart, of course, that he remained true to himself, even though he was imprisoned, he was misunderstood. He was a man who was free. He was not like the rest of the false prophets, dancing to the wishes and the whims and fancies of the people. He was not like the king who was afraid to stand up for the truth, knowing that Jeremiah was right. He succumbed to the political pressure of the nobles. He did not do the right thing. He was not free. Jeremiah was free. He was a man who has a sense of dignity. He was the truly free person. And John the Baptist too. He was put in prison. Herod was the one who was not free. He was perplexed. He knew that John the Baptist was a good man, a holy man. But because of pressure from Herodias, pressure by his pride, because he could promise the daughter of Herodias half the kingdom, he wanted to save his face. He was not free. He has no dignity to do the right thing, to do justice. He was not free. It was John the Baptist who was free. That is the justice of God. That He will give you the strength to be a truly free person in the face of persecution, so that you will always have a sense of your dignity as a disciple, as a true prophet. What is the justice of God? The justice of God means to say that you will accomplish the divine plan of God the vocation that God has given to you. That is the justice of God. The justice of God means to say that you are called to do what you are called to do. And you find fulfillment when you do and lift up your vocation. That is the justice of God. Not to lift up your vocation means to say you will not find fulfillment. You will not be at peace. Because you go against the very vocation that God has planted in your heart. Like Herod, he was not a true king. And so, you look at Jeremiah. He accomplished the divine plan. And so, for John the Baptist, he was very happy. John the Baptist, in fact, when we read St. John's Gospel, the people say, "Are you the Messiah?" He said, "No, I'm not the Messiah. I'm only the friend, the bridegroom. I'm very happy if I bring the bridegroom to you. I'm happy just to be a friend." He knew his role. He knew that he was not the Messiah. He was the forerunner of the birth, of the death of the Messiah. Yes, he was not the Messiah. And he was happy. He didn't want to pretend to be what he was not. And not only that, when he was put in prison, he wanted to be sure that he has accomplished the plan of God. He sent his disciples. He said, "Are you the Messiah that is to come, or should we wait for another?" And Jesus says, "You look at the lame walking, the blind see, the deaf raised to life." Then he was consoled. He was ready to die because he has finished his work. There was no reason for him to continue, actually. So his execution was an ultimate witness of his life for the Messiah. It was a very beautiful, divine plan that he would die in that way to give that ultimate surrender. It's just like Jesus when he was on the cross, he said, "Into your hands I commend my spirit." And he died. And so John the Baptist too, "I have heard all this. I know my work is done. There is nothing else for me to do. The Messiah will finish the work." That is the justice of God. And so we need to ask ourselves, in the face of all our struggles, it's not easy to be a Christian in the world today. So much pressure, political pressure, social pressure, media as well, and all the different trends, and the cancel culture that we are in. If you try to say something that is right, something the world does not want to hear, you will be attacked, you will be marginalized. So much pressure. And how can we speak? How can we stand up for our faith? How can we be true prophets? That is why we must understand that to be a true prophet, we need to be like Jeremiah. He fell in love with God. When you fall in love with God, you will stand by him. So too John the Baptist, he was the friend of the bridegroom. He fell in love with the bridegroom. So if we fall in love with Jesus, we will have the strength to stand out for our faith, to persevere when we are misunderstood, to continue to keep on working for God and his kingdom, even when it is challenging. Because we believed it. Because we know that that is what we are called to do. Do you believe that is your vocation? If you believe, then you lift it. If you don't believe, I don't think you can do much. You will never be a really happy person because you are not too sure what you are living for. And if you don't do it, not only you will lose your peace of mind, you lose the whole kingdom. And that was what Herod did. He did not give half of his kingdom, actually. He gave all his kingdom away to Herodias because he was indecisive. He lost everything, even the eternal kingdom.